Hi, everybody. Diana here at Heartfelt Creative. Happy Monday, and welcome into this week's episode of the Quilting Library. I hope everyone had a super great weekend. It was a little rainy here where we are. Actually, the temperature went way down. We were having unseasonably warm weather for several weeks, like 90 plus. And in Illinois, 90s usually come in like towards the end of July and August. So we were having them at the end of May and June. The whole country's been on fire basically with heat, right? I mean, we see it on the evening news maps, the weather maps that they show and all. It's kind of horrible out on the West Coast. My heart goes out to everyone on the West Coast, especially all of my family and friends who I just love and adore so much. Drink your water, stay inside, stay as cool as you can. But our temperatures have gone down to like 70, 71, 72. Now they're going to head back into the normal 80s probably by midweek this week. But it was nice to have, for me, it was nice to have that, oh, look, a string, that cooler weather. I am the cooler the better kind of girl. I like to think God made cool weather and winter just for me because I love it. So that was the weekend we had here. A lot busy. We were working with our theater group on getting things cleaned up and all spick and span because we have a state senator, I guess, coming to visit on Tuesday this week, and they wanted everything to look nice. Of course, you know, there were some things that we just had to get done, so we did them. And so that was good. And I've been busy here working in the studio. I got a piece, I've been working on this piece for a while, and I used it to show how to do embroidery editing, but it's my little shed, Heartfelt Creative, and my little mannequin, and there's my little Vernon, and also that got done, for which I was glad because that's been a while now. There we go, get it right back up there. I took down the Eastern time clock to put that up there. Sorry, Eastern time zone. You guys are 1 hour ahead of us. So if it's 1 o'clock here, it's 2 o'clock there. I'll get that clock back up. But I want to get that hung higher, but I didn't have the chance to do it this weekend. Finished getting some wallpaper hung and stuff. So it was just a busy weekend. Laundry going, all that kind of stuff. But today is our day to sew quilting blocks, which is one of my favorite things to do. Is it one of your favorite things to do? Do you really love that kind of piece that you get when you're piecing your quilts together? I love it. I love it from the picking out of the fabric to the cutting of the squares and triangles and piecing it all together. For me, it is brings me closer to my grandmother who taught me to quilt, and brings her memory closer. I feel like when I'm here in my studio, she's here with me. I just feel her presence kind of with me. So I love it. And today's our day to do it together. So I wanted to do a quick little announcement about the Quilting Library. So a lot of you know that, oh gosh, this started maybe not quite a year ago, almost a year ago, I guess, but not quite. And it was called Patches and Pieces Monday. And I recently switched it over to the Quilting Library because I wanted one playlist, one series here on YouTube that was nothing but quilting, right? It wasn't embroidery and it wasn't anything else. It was just the quilting. So we switched that over. But over on my Facebook channel, Heartfelt Creative with Diana, W/Diana, there are a lot of those original videos that were done as live Facebook events that never got transferred over to YouTube. So what I'm going to start doing is it's going to be slow. Don't expect like a whole rush of them all at once. Please don't. But I'm going to start refilming those original ones and getting them here on YouTube, and they'll be located right here in the Quilting Library. So if you want to see them beforehand, you can still do that. Here's my Facebook page, Heartfelt Creative with Diana, see the W/Diana. And if you go to this area right here where it says more, and you click on that and you go down to where it says videos and you go there. All of the videos that I've done, it's taken a little bit to load them again. There we go. All the videos I've done, even like the current lives and stuff that I've done. Oh, wow, it's still loading. Lots of them, lots of them. So anyway, in this section, it'll tell you patches and pieces. On this week, we did the Ohio Star and more. I don't remember what the more was, and we did different ones. So on this one, we did mirror, mirror. On this one, we did butterfly applique, and there's all kinds of them that we did. And so you can go to my Facebook page, Heartfelt Creative with Diana, and you can find those under that video section, and you can go ahead and watch them if you want, and you can listen to me blabber on about whatever I was blabbering on about that day. But those videos I'm going to get over into the YouTube channel slowly but surely, and they'll just be additional content. They will not take the place of the new ones that I put out on Monday. Monday's video is still going to be new each week, but those will start coming. And if you subscribe and click the little bell to get notified, you'll get notified when I add as I add that content, and you'll be able to watch them whenever you want. Okay. So for this week, we're going to kind of take a little step backwards to step forwards. Back one of those original videos I did was the disappearing 9 patch. And I told you in that video that eventually I would do the double disappearing 9 patch. And that's what we're going to do today. So you may be the kind of quilter that has an affinity for a certain type of block. Like if you say Dresden to me, I say, I'm there, let's do it, let's go. I love doing Dresdens, all kinds of Dresdens, double wide Dresdens, traditional Dresdens, rounded flower petal Dresdens, you name it. I love them. Also, if you say to me a block that can be made so that you see a main pattern, and if you step back, you see a secondary pattern in it, I love those. I love when you can take a block and or you have a quilt and you have like a main pattern, but if you just kind of like unfocus your eyes a little bit, you're like, oh wow, there's a whole secondary pattern there. I love those because it's kind of like a twofer. You do one block, you get 2 patterns. I love that. So it's kind of like a BOGO, buy one get one kind of a thing, right? So that's what you get with these disappearing blocks, the disappearing 9 patch. I think I might have even done a disappearing half square triangle. If not, that's one I'll do eventually because I love that one. But I did a couple of different types of disappearing. There's lots of disappearing patched blocks, and they're a lot of fun. So today we're going to do the double disappearing 9 patch. And first of all, I will tell you about the fabric that I used for mine. So you need some white, or you could use solids. You're going to need 8 squares. Before I show the fabric, let me tell you about how this measures out. Like I naturally drift towards 5-inch blocks and 2.5-inch strips. I don't know why, I just do. You might be someone who says, oh, I like doing really little mini quilts. I would love to see them. Post your pictures, do hashtag sew SEW beautiful HC for Heartfelt Creative, sew beautiful HC hashtag, and because I would love to see them. And I know others would love to see them too. And so I can look them up under that hashtag and we can share them at different quilting library events. So I just tend to drift to 5-inch blocks and 2.5-inch strips. That's what we're going to do for today's double disappearing double 9 patch. That's a lot of D words in there. But you might say, well, you know what? I tend to drift towards 4-inch blocks. then the math that you do to do this kind of thing, if you want to start out with a base 4-inch block, is 4-inch blocks, 2-inch strips. So whatever your base block size is, when we go to cut our strips, you're going to do half that amount. So you'll see that. I'll tell you about that again. But that's kind of how the measuring goes. So super simple math. There's no U substitution going on in here. There's no calculus going on in here. It's just simple add, subtract, multiply, divide kind of stuff, which we can all do. And so it's really easy to make these blocks big. You could make a block like this and make it big enough for a whole quilt if you wanted one block as a quilt. Those can be really pretty, because with those you have big sections where you can get into some really intricate quilting in those. Or you could do little mini quilts with them too. That would be lovely. So the measurement part is this block, I guess is what I'm trying to say, very easy to adjust. Now let's get back to fabric. So you're going to need white or a solid. I chose this white with this sweet little blue dot on it. This is a Kimberbell basic fabric. It's still available in fabric shops. You might be able to find it in online fabric shops. So that blue in there, this is one of those fabrics that kind of literally works with everything. I can put it with orange. Yeah, it works. I could put it with navy blue big dots. Yeah, it works. I could put it with, look at this print. It's got like all the little summery things on it, pickups and ice pops and birdhouses and oh, look at that, isn't that cute? But if I put that with it as a white solid, it works. It's just one of those fabrics. And so this is in Kimberbell's basic line, and you can still get it. Over here in my bucket of white fabrics, I always have a yard and a lot of little pieces of this particular fabric because I use it so often. It's a real go-to for me for white, because I tend to shy away from a solid white, but that little dot just gives it enough color that I go, yeah, I like that. And then you're going to need 4 different prints, but not a lot. You're going to need like a 10 by 5 piece of 4 different prints, so a little bit. But what I chose is mine from this stack of fat quarters. This line is called Cottage Blue. It's relatively new out there. I've only had this for maybe a month or so. Let me give you some more information about it, because I know everybody likes to know about the fabric. It's a Moda fabric, by the way. You can get it at fabric shops, I'm sure. It's called Cottage Blue by Robin Pickens, and it's from Moda, and it's gorgeous. There's lots of butterflies in it. So if you are a butterfly person, you'll want to find this fabric, because there's butterflies on light blue and butterflies on dark blue. And if you are like me and you like hydrangeas, holy smokes, look at how beautiful that is. This whole series is like that. This whole collection, it's just stunning. It really is stunning. I don't often go, although I love blue, I don't often go for blue collections. But when I saw this, I thought, oh, I'll just pick a couple. I could not pick a couple. And so I bought this fat quarter bundle, and now I know there's like a bunch of in here that I'm going to go back and buy yardage of, because look at this. Look at that. With that greeny color in it. Oh, I love it. And then look at, remember in the 80s when we all were like doing colonial blue and French blue and China blue? Look at that. Doesn't that remind you of that? So stunning. Just creamy white and blue. Beautiful. And then it actually has some interesting green and stuff in it too. And of course, you know, my favorite, the aqua colors are in here too. So, you know, these are the ones I'm going back. Oh, this is the one I'm getting yardage of, this one. That is just, oh, makes me so happy. So that's where I chose my prints for my disappearing 9 patch, double disappearing 9 patch. And you need 4 prints. So you need 2 5x5 blocks of 4 prints. So you don't need a lot. You need 2 5x5 blocks for your centers, and they should be different. And you need 8 5x5 blocks of your white or your solid. You could use a solid color too. In fact, originally I thought about using a solid blue of some sort, but I couldn't quite find one. I found one and I didn't have enough of it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go for what I know works. And I picked that Kimberbell Basic. All right, so I'm going to flip my camera over and we'll talk about these. So I'm going to show you, you're going to start out with 2 9 patches, okay? So very easy layout. Choose 2 prints, a center, and then your whites or solids, whatever you choose to use. And the layout is your focal print is going to be your center block. You're going to take 2 matching prints and put them on diagonal corners this way, and 2 matching prints and put them on diagonal corners this way. And then the 4 cross sections are going to be your white or solid. And then you're going to do that same thing for a second block, but you're going to choose different diagonal prints and a different center block, but these can be the same. Now, what I did on this, so that I made sure and got my little butterflies in here, I didn't do a really strict fussy cut. Like I didn't get out my fussy cut ruler. I just used this ruler and kind of found a center point, found out where I wanted the center to be, and kind of did an, I guess you could call it a eyeballed fussy cut. But I did so that I have my butterfly in the center here. And on this print, the butterflies are a little smaller and together. So I got those guys in there because that's a focal point, and I wanted them to be special because this block doesn't get cut, okay? So when you do your 9 patches, you're just going to lay them out. And let's see, can I back that up a little bit? There, that might be a little bit better. You're going to lay them out, opposite corners, your 4 whites and your center. And then you're just going to sew them together the way you do any traditional 9 patch. You're going to start in your bottom row and put this one on top of this one, 1/4 inch seam for everything, press it, this one on top, press it. So right sides together, press, flip, open, and press. And then you're going to do that for each of the 3 rows on both blocks. Then once you get the 3 rows done, you're going to take and put your center row and fold it over on top of your bottom row, and you're going to sew them together. Now, I want to tell you again, and I've talked about this in one of my Good Gadgets videos. See, can you see that there or there? You can probably see it better in my hand, I'm thinking. These double pointed pins, I've talked about these in one of the Good Gadgets videos. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, there's a series here on my YouTube channel called Good Gadgets. Every week, I talk about different things that we use in our quilting, different tools and things. It could be to do with quilting, it could be to do with general sewing, it could be to do with machine embroidery. So each week is something different, and it's usually a couple of products in a general theme. So go ahead and go take a look at those if you want. And in one of them, I talk about these double-headed pins. Now, when I first saw these, I remembered that we used to use these in merchandising. When I was in college, I worked for Carson Perry Scott and Company, and I managed the shoe department. But for a while, when I was trying to save money to pay for my wedding dress and my wedding, for our wedding, for Dave and I, when we were saving up our money, I worked extra shifts in the ladies' clothing department, and we used these, and I still to this day can't remember what we used them for, but we used them a lot because I remember I used to get stuck with them. But it's a pin that has a double head on it. And when it comes in handy is when you are lining up your points. I'll show you real quick. You line up your points, you take this pin, you put one pin, one head of the pin on each side of the seam, push it through, and that locks that seam in place. I'm telling you, the more I use them, the more amazed I am, because it doesn't move your seam. It's wonderful. You get up to it, you pull it out, sew down to your next one, pull it out. So that's how I have been marking my points, and I love it. They're coming out, can I just say this, in the kind of dang near perfect every time. Now, you all know that what I truly love is my little mini wonder clips, and I still use them. But for these points now, I'm all about that double pin. So do these 2 rows together, and then these 2 rows together, iron everything flat. I iron towards the dark side on all of mine on these, but you may press open however you like to do it. I won't tell you that you have to do it one way or the other on these. So you're going to end up with 2 of these 9 patch blocks. Okay, get them all nice and squared up. And here comes the fun, or the magic, if you want to call it that. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to cut these up. And because I used 5-inch blocks, remember I was telling you about measuring your blocks sizes. Because I used 5-inch blocks, I want to cut 2.5-inch strips, okay? So if I were using a 6-inch blocks, I would use 3-inch strips. I would cut 3-inch strips. If I was going to make one huge quilt block and make that into a quilt, say a baby quilt of 36 by 36 or roughly thereabouts, and so I made 12-inch blocks, I would cut 6-inch strips. Get how that works? It's just whatever your size block is, cut it in half. Okay, so what we're going to do is I actually have a 2.5-inch ruler. This is by Quilter Select, and it's got the little non-skid on it, so I love it. And so it's going to be very easy for me to cut these because I don't have to measure over. I just go make sure my line is straight here. I've got 2.5 inches. I'm going to take my rotary cutter and cut. I'm going to cut that side. Then I'm going to flip it around and come in here and cut the 2.5 inches on this side. Now you've I'm setting those aside. Now you've got kind of this rectangle idea. Well, now I'm going to bring it to this part, and I'm going to come in and do 2.5 inches from this side. Make sure I get that lined up on my edge. Make sure and use a nice sharp rotary blade. And then I'm going to come in and flip it and do 2.5 inches from this side. Bing, bang, boom, presto, changeo. Now I have 2 long strips and 2 shorter strips. I'm going to pile those up and I'm going to set those aside. Isn't that pretty? So you could, if you wanted to, you could just cut this down and use all your blocks like this. You could do something completely different with that. You could use that to piece a border. You could use that to do binding. You could do it as strips and make a table runner of just strips if you wanted, but that's beside the point today. Today we're doing the double disappearing 9 patch. So you end up with this 9 patch, okay? Now we're going to bring in our second block that we created, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start on our one edge, and there we go, and cut our 2.5-inch strips off of each side. Flip this around and cut again. Now, because I have that 2.5-inch ruler, it makes that super easy. But if I didn't have a 2.5-inch ruler, let's say I had my 3-inch ruler here, I would just find my 2.5-inch mark here. line that up on the edge and cut, right? So you can use any ruler as long as you have 2.5 inches. And I have a weird superstition. I don't like to change rulers when I'm cutting. I like to cut the whole thing with the same ruler. I don't know where that, I don't think anyone ever told me to do that. I know my grandmother never told me to do that because we didn't use rulers back like this when she was teaching me to quilt. But it's kind of a superstitious thing with me, and I don't tend to be superstitious. But do you have quirks like that when you quilt, that you do things like in a certain way all the time? So now look, we have 2 beautiful squares. Didn't those turn out pretty? I love them. So let's take and put our original one back over to the side, and let's just keep this one. So again, we have 2 short and 2 long strips from this square, but we don't want to use these. We want to set these over with this square, and we want to pull the ones from that original square in now. And we want to play. Your short ones. And then your long ones. Actually, I think I'm going to flip that one to that way. There we go. So that this end, oops, let me move that down there. You can see it better. This end matches up with this end, and it does the same thing over here. Now, when I bring this down and take my other long edge, this edge and this edge, these are going to match up. Okay, so it's going to match up in our corners. It's going to look like we have a bigger 5-inch block again here and here. Let's see, let me try and get this nice and focused up a little bit better. There we go. So that's how your block will turn out. That's your double disappearing 9 patch. Now, so that'll be one block. I'm just gonna grab these up, bring in our other one, and remember, we start with our small strips, and then we take our long strips and we match them up where this part and the corners match. So that's our second one. And then you're going to want to see if I can get this in the camera shot. This is very hard when you're working with bigger blocks to get all of this in the camera shot. You could bring this in. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. I'll just do this edge. There we go. So if I brought this in like this other one, there, and then of course it would go up. So you can see right here, you're getting like a longer rectangle here. You're getting new shapes here. So if I put, trying to think, yeah. So you're going to end up with shapes here, coming down the middle here. Look, you're going to end up with diagonals here, coming down this way. So you're going to end up with that pattern in a pattern. You might find other ways that you even want to put this together, but this is, I guess you could say, the traditional way to put together your disappearing 9 patch. And so with the 2 blocks, you end up getting 2 blocks in the end. So for 2 9 patch blocks, you get 2 disappearing 9 patch blocks. So you don't have any waste there. You could take and only use the ones that look like this so that you could match up corners. And then you would get that secondary look that would be all matched up. And then you could take all of your other ones and do, so you could do like 2 whole different varieties. So if you did only these, you could match these up this way, and then you could have a whole secondary grouping here. All kinds of stuff that you can do with those disappearing 9 patches. And see how easy it was? You just sewed together 9 squares, made 4 cuts, relayed them out, and then you resew them together. Actually, let me go back to the camera, because I do want to show you, when you go to sew these together, you're going to sew on your short pieces first, top and bottom, and then your side pieces. And in all honesty, the only things that might need to, you might want them close to lined up, are right in here. But there's not a lot of lining up of corners and stuff to get real wrapped around the axle with, because I know sometimes that concerns people. But this one isn't difficult in that way. But you end up with all kinds of different looking patterns. And I love the way it has that diagonal pattern. I have a bunch of these, and I really want to put them into a quilt as a scrappy quilt and kind of play with that and see what that looks like. Someday when I get a free moment to do that, I will. Someday I'm just going to pull them out of the box. I've got a box of them over here. And I'm just going to play with them and see what I come up with. And in all honesty, I really kind of thought I would like to just do something with this part of the blocks. I thought maybe adding some sashing. Oh, I tell you what. Hang on, let me grab something real quick. Excuse me. Take a look at the clocks. I want to show you something. A very dear lady out in Utah on Friday demonstrated how to get a 1/4 inch sashing perfect every time. It wasn't her original idea. It was by a lady, I think the website's name is Claudia's Creations. I'll put that website down here. I will demo this for us. I'll just do a demo on this one day, and I'll stick that video here in the quilting library, because it's one of those things that once you know this technique, you're going to go, ooh, I could add it here, I could add it there. So doing a 1/4 inch sashing, to be honest, I kind of start to itch, because that's such tight, precise sewing. My eyes are not super great anymore. And so getting that sewn straight kind of made me nervous. But this technique, you don't even think about the 1/4 inch thing. It just comes out that way. So I'll do that video, but let me kind of do a little, let's flip our camera back over. Let's play here for just a little bit. Oh, we get to play. I love it. So I'm just taking and setting my blocks on each side of that 1/4 inch there. So I could take just these blocks and do this technique and do 1/4 inch sashing between my blocks. Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah, maybe I have to play with that someday. That's when I saw her technique, I could not wait to go and try it for myself. So I grabbed some scraps out of the scrap bin that was sitting by my sewing machine and just tried it, and I love it. This is what the back looks like. You wouldn't even know it was a 1/4 inch thing, because you start out with a 1 inch strip. So it just is super easy. So I'll put the link to the lady who does it, whose technique I suppose that it is originally, in this video. But actually, I'm not going to put it in this video. I'm going to do a demo for us, and I'll put that video out. And in that video, I will give you the link to the lady whose technique this is, so you can go watch her demonstrate it as well. Because I think it's always good to listen to the person who came up with the idea. She does some super fantastic, beautiful machine embroidered quilts. Like the piecing, everything is machine embroidered. They're gorgeous. But she has a video on there that teaches this technique too. But I'll do a little demo for us this week. I'll do it sometime this week and put it out here in the quilting library. So if you want to know when I get it, please hit that subscribe button and hit the little bells or click the little bell so you can get notified when I put that out. That is everything for the quilting library for this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you go and try this double disappearing 9 patch. Every week, I invite you all to come and join my group on Facebook, Sew in Common, SEW in Common. You are welcome to come and spend your time with us whenever you like. But some people are like, you know, I'm not ready to join another group yet. And we're really not that kind of a group. But some people just aren't ready yet, and that's fine. But we'd still love to see your quilts and your blocks and your makes. So I've come up with a hashtag. I mentioned it earlier. It's hashtag so beautiful, SEW beautiful HC, capital H, capital C, so beautiful HC, hashtag so beautiful HC. If you put that, when you post your picture, say on your page or somewhere else, if you put that hashtag on there, then when I search that hashtag, or when you search that hashtag, you can find all the pretty pictures that people have posted with that hashtag of different quilts and different makes. And then just know that if you use it, you're giving me permission to show that, to possibly show that here on a quilting library video. Like at the beginning, when I share stuff, I might share some of the pictures that come in with that hashtag. So you wouldn't need to be embarrassed. I won't, you know, give out information and stuff like that. We just want to see all the pretty quilts and things out there being made. All righty, everybody, have a great rest of your Monday. And the Good Gadgets video for this week is already out because it was a kind of a companion video to yesterday's Sew in Common. So go ahead and go take a look at those. Those are already out for this week. I'll do this demo this week, and I hope you have a lovely week. Go sew life beautiful, everybody. Bye now.